We about to go live in about 2 and 2. Yes, we got 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Here we go. And we are
About to go live in about
live.
2 and 2. Yes.
All right. Mute that. And welcome to another episode of Hashtag I'm Just Saying. I'm yours truly, MemeMichelle. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I want you to get involved. I want you to ask questions. I want you to leave your comments. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and click the bell for notifications because we have some great things coming up for the holiday season. So today I have one of my favorite people in the building. It's my auntie. She's my special guest, but she's doing great things in the community. But we'll get to that. But before we get to that, what's your cocktail for conversation, ma'am?
Well, since I want to be on point and
Yes.
pay close attention, I'm drinking Snapple.
And I'm okay with that. But as for me, I am drinking something called Cooper and Thief. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I wanted to get the new Black Girl Magic wine, but it's all sold out, because we Black girls, we have magic. But this is a red wine blend that has been aged in bourbon barrels. Now, I haven't tasted this yet, so if I give you a funny face, that means like, woo, but let me see if it's good. So it smells nice. I promised I wouldn't taste it before the show aired. Let me see. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to write that down.
I have to sing, and it came with these little glasses. I might have to send you some of this for Christmas.
It's called Cooper and what?
Cooper and Thief.
Okay.
Cooper and Thief sell masters. Seller masters. Ooh.
All right, now settle down.
It's got a little spice at the end, and it has a hint of vanilla in it. Okay, so since we're going into the Thanksgiving season, as Thanksgiving season approaches, I began to reflect on the year that we've had. The fiber of our family has become more important than ever. We now cherish the simple things like the air we breathe. For some, things got really tight and families and friends rallied together to try to help one another. But what about those who were already struggling? There were layoffs, doors closed, a shortage of food, toilet paper, no money for bills, a loss of hope, and our country is a mess. Now, we often talk about the tithe, but the tithe is more than just a monetary giving. It is also giving of your talent and your time. And now that the church doors are closed or some are just open virtually, where do people go? Which brings me to my guest, Mrs. Carmen Allen. She is the creator and founder of Beyond the Sanctuary. Hey, ma'am, how you doing?
Doing good, thank you.
Now, COVID has changed our previous holiday plans. We was all supposed to be together. What are your plans for Thanksgiving now?
For Thanksgiving, I am going to get up, run a nice bubble bath, get out of the bubble bath, change into fresh pajamas, and sit down somewhere because I am tired. I am not even cooking this year for Thanksgiving. I am ordering my Thanksgiving meal.
Well, we were it was just supposed to be me and Tina because Micah and JJ and the baby were going to go to her grandmother's house, but they decided they didn't want to go. So we were just going to do like fried fish and spaghetti and garlic bread, a little Thanksgiving thing, a St. Louis Thanksgiving. But now the kids want real Thanksgiving dinner, so we got to cook.
So who's cooking, you or Tina or both of you?
Me, Tina, and Micah will probably cook.
Okay.
That little girl can cook. That's why JJ got so thick.
Oh, really? Oh my
God.
I haven't seen a picture of him lately. Maybe you better send one.
I'll send you one. So what does Thanksgiving mean to you?
Wow. Well, the word says it all. I remember when I would go home for Thanksgiving years and years ago. I used to have this tradition with Marquita Dana. If you remember Marquita, was our choir director. And every Thanksgiving, we would go to church together. Nobody else hardly went to church on Thanksgiving, but we used to have a service at Asbury. And so it drove home to me, though all those years ago, that Thanksgiving really is about reflecting on what you have to be thankful for.
Yes.
And we have so much to be thankful for. And at the top of my list is our family.
Yes.
Our family has grown so close together. Now, as you well know, there have been times when we've had falling outs like any other family, but I will put the closeness of our family against any other's family that I know, because we stick together and we encourage each other and we support each other. And I am very grateful for that. Whenever there's one of us in need, then we rally around and do what we can do.
That's true, because let me just say from the bottom of my heart right now, thank you to you and everybody else, because that was a tough 15 days.
Yeah.
It was grace. It was just like, I think God gave me the gift. They asked me to do a testimony at church, a virtual testimony about having COVID. And I told them that it was a gift from God, so that I could spread awareness. And it just tested my faith, because at that time I was doing the scriptures every morning.
Mm-hmm.
I never stopped doing that. No matter how I felt in the morning, I would research it the night before, so I could just get up, click a button, and lay back down.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for that.
And I have to say, as a result of that, when you send the scripture, then I send the song. And so it's made me really understand some of the gospel songs that we sing and we hear, and how they relate to the various scriptures that you've been sending. And so now I start my morning after reading your scripture, listening to gospel, and that really has been getting my days off perfectly.
Because I always say, a lot of people, sometimes they don't understand the spoken word. They have to mature to that. But we always understand that word and song. Yeah. It'll touch you some kind of way, the words, the melody, all of that. So let's get on into it. Before we start talking about Beyond the Sanctuary, tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you went to college and your career path.
Well, so I have to start off because, I am a St. Louisan and a Sumnerite. So I went to Sumner. And I was very fortunate when I was at Sumner, because I had teachers that believed in me. Teachers knew you then and knew what you were capable of doing. But I was kind of fast, so I would go to some classes and not to others. And I had this one class, it was a business class, and it was an 8-period class. So it was before homeroom at 7 o'clock that I would start cutting that class. I'm like, I'm not getting up going to that class. Well, that teacher started calling me. Okay. And so there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. So I would have to go to class. Well, she, in her attempt to force me to be a part of this class, entered me into a contest. It was a business contest. It was called Distributed Education Clubs of America. They probably don't even have them anymore. But you and 2 other people, so the trio of us, would have to go. You would get as part of the contest you would get a business problem to solve. And you had to identify the problem, state the alternatives, and recommend a solution. Well, we ended up taking first place in the city in that contest. Okay. We got entered into another a statewide contest. I think we took 3rd in that one. But there was a judge at the city contest that took an interest in us and invited us out to Merrimack Community College, where he was teaching. And that led to an internship at Famous Bar.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah, so that was my first role into leadership positions, very young then. And so the deal was I was supposed to be going to college at the same time as I was working this internship. Well, making the money got a little good to me. And so next thing I know, I wasn't going to college. And as a result of that, I was seeing people being promoted around me. And I realized that I was going to have to drop back and really focus on getting an education. So that whoever I worked for had no excuse. So I literally quit that job. That same day, I went to St. Louis University and enrolled in school.
Oh, see, I worked at Famous Bar, but I didn't know the story behind it.
Yep. So because of that schooling. So anyway, I enrolled in St. Louis University, and at the end of that enrollment, I said, "Is there counselor or someone that I could talk to. And I went to them and I said, I just enrolled and I have actually no money to pay for these classes. So I had St. Louis University is one of the most expensive colleges, but it was a convenient one that I got to. So they gave me a loan actually that I had to pay back. But the counselor told me that if you go down the street, now you know St. Louis University is on Lindo and in that area. Down the street on Lindo was the office of this organization that my mind just went. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, I went down there. Inroads. So I went down to Inroads, talked to the president, asked him, could I be a part of Inroads? Because Inroads gave you internships. And he told me, no way, I am not letting you in this. You're too old. Because I had been out of high school for a while then. And so he flatly told me no. And I remember his name. His name was Lincoln Scott. I begged that man. I kept coming back. And then finally, there was a company that wanted to get a student, but it was a student in, at that time, called personnel. Well, they were used to math students and science students. So they didn't have anyone that wanted to be in personnel. So I found out about it and I went, pick me. And so that's how I ended up going into human resources because of that internship. And I learned a lot. I worked in compensation. That was my first time I worked with unions and labor relations. I learned so much from that. I was actually working there and then I asked them, can I work through the school year? So they let me continue that internship throughout the school year. I go to work, go to class, go back to work. And I would even work on weekends. And it was a weekend that I was working that the phone rang and it was a holiday weekend. And I said, I am not answering this phone on a holiday weekend, but it kept ringing. I picked it up and this is true story. It was a recruiting firm calling, looking for me, wanted to know if I would be interested in interviewing for a position in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And that's how you got to Tennessee.
That's how I ended up in Tennessee working for Levi Strauss, again in human resources and labor relations. From there, got the job in Rochester working for Eastman Kodak Company. Kodak sent me back to school. I got my MBA, which at that time was unusual for anyone in human resources to get an MBA. I got my MBA and then got another job after that with Ernie Urquhart, my big brother, who the best mentor / turned big brother that I ever had. From there, I became a vice president at Bausch and Lomb and worked there for a number of years. Went to Baltimore, worked as a senior VP of HR, reporting to the CEO for a couple of years, and then came back to Rochester as a vice president of human resources for Harris Corporation, and retired in 2016.
Now, you talk about retirement. I'm going to mix these questions up. So most people that retire, they just want to either work the door at Walmart or just travel. But you created something special. When did Beyond the Sanctuary get started? How was that birthed?
So it never started out, oh, I'm going to create this. As I was retiring, our church was preparing to celebrate its 190th anniversary. The church is Memorial AME Zion Church in Rochester, New York. It is the oldest African-American church in Rochester and in the entire county. It was actually the church that Frederick Douglass belonged to when he was in Rochester. Look it up. Also, Susan B. Anthony did speeches there. And so it is a well-known church with steep history. The founder of the church was a former slave. And the other structure, we're not in that building now, but there is a building that we used to be in that actually had a trap door behind the pulpit. that was part of the Underground Railroad.
Girl, message. Well,
Yeah.
you learned some on hashtag I'm just saying, but we gets it in.
And in fact, the magazine, the newspaper that Frederick Douglass published, the North Star, was for a time published in the basement of that church.
Wow.
So I knew some of this stuff, and I started learning more about the church as we were preparing for our 190th anniversary. I volunteered to be on the communications committee and help put a new website together. And as I was doing this, I'm thinking, wow, this church is everything. But we weren't doing any of those things now. The first Black African American Boy Scout troop in Rochester was founded at that church.
Wow.
The first nursery school for Black children was founded at that church. And so I started feeling some kind of way about us not doing anything in the community. And in fact, I felt so bad about it. I went to the pastor at that time and said, would you be supportive of us starting some kind of community service?
Okay.
Because I just don't feel right talking about how great we used to be and we're not doing anything now. And so he let me actually stand up in front of the congregation and say, listen, I would really like for us to start doing some things in the community. I have an idea that we can start a food pantry and a clothes closet.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I picked those is because I thought they'd be easy. And if nobody else did it, I got some cans of soup in my cupboard I could bring, and I got some clothes I can bring. If I had to do it myself, I'd do it myself. But at that time, 40 people stood up and said, we will help you. We want to do this too. We've been feeling the same way. And so that's how it started.
So how did it go beyond the sanctuary? Because I used to hear you talk, I got to go get coats. I got to go do this. I got to do that. When did it grow beyond that?
You know, it started growing every week, something more. There were opportunities that just would present itself to us. I think the main thing was because I was starting doing something I'd never done before. All of my career was in the corporate America, so to speak. And so I didn't know anything about nonprofits and how they work. So someone said, hey, listen, you're going to do food. Why don't you call Food Link, which is our local food bank?
Okay.
So I called them and asked, what are the qualifications to be certified to be an agency of that Food Link? So we did that. And then I just started knocking on doors of other organizations that were already in existence, other churches that had food pantries, other organizations like there's a Dimitri House. And I'd say, hey, we're just starting this. I'd like to, if you don't mind, come and talk to you about what works for you, what doesn't work, how can I learn to do this? And as a result of that, then I started seeing, we could do some more stuff here. And actually we created an alliance of all of these organizations now. So that was 2017 is when we opened our door. And believe it, the very first day that we opened, not a soul came, not a single person. I'm like, I wonder, was this a good idea or not?
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
You said the first day nobody came. How has that changed since we've been affected by the pandemic?
That has changed significantly. So 2 years ago, if we had 25 people would come, then 50 people. Last year, and I'm talking a week, so we're open once a week. Last year we started having 70 people come a week, then 100 people come a week, and now we are serving over 225 people every week, 225 families.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. As a result of COVID, we've literally doubled the capacity, and we implemented a delivery service because so many people are elderly or handicapped and can't get out. Yeah. So we have a team of volunteers, 12, that deliver every week to those individuals that can't come to pick up their food.
Now, because the demand has gotten so great, the need of the community has changed because of COVID. COVID, how can people help you? Where do they reach out if they want to give or if they want to, donate? How can they reach you?
Well, let me just tell you how blessed we've been.
Okay.
Back in this summer, June or July, our local newspaper ran a full page story about people needing help and the organizations that are helping them, and we were half of that article. We had a company that contacted us to say, hey, we saw you and what you're doing, we want to help. What do you need besides, we're going to send you some donations, but what else do you need? And I said, we need a website. So this organization, the owner of this company, loaned us their communications expert, and she created a website for us. It is wonderful. So www.beyondthesanctuary.org, you can go on that website, and we have PayPal, we have Cash App, you can send a check. All of that information is on there. We're also on Facebook, so you can go on Facebook and donate through there if you like. Or checks are always good. You can send a check to P.O. Box 18146, Rochester, New York 14618, Beyond the Sanctuary.
Look at that. Ooh.
I know, I'm so excited about how we've grown.
We've come from humble beginnings, and you've worked really hard to become who you are. I'm really proud, and I'm really grateful to call you my auntie. Now, y'all don't know, that's my mama's sister, but she ain't young as she look. That she is well preserved. Yes. But so I feel grace and mercy upon my life that I can look so good when I become her age. I'm not gonna tell her to tell her age because that's.
I don't care. I'm proud. I'm 64 and proud of it.
See what I'm saying?
Because I don't forget the fact that my mother didn't live this long. So every day in my over 51, I am grateful for and proud of it.
Because I'll be 50 next year.
And you don't look it either, dear.
I know, girl. So, because we do come from humble beginnings, tell me how Beyond the Sanctuary has changed your life.
Oh, that's a good one.
And what does it mean to you?
So I didn't realize how important it is to me to make people happy. And I've always been a gift giver. I've always done those kinds of things, and I just did it because it was who I am. But then I realized this is not just a nice to do for me. It's essential for my being to make somebody happy.
Yeah.
And so this is a way that I feel that I am, while giving essentials to individuals, it's making them happy.
Got you.
And so it's everything to me. And I will do this until I can't.
That's a blessing. So bringing others joy brings you joy.
Absolutely.
And that's a part of the tithe.
Talent. And I tell people, it is not because I'm some kind of saint. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it comes from a very selfish point. Because it makes me feel good.
You say that every time we used to go to Vegas. That was your saying.
Oh, really?
Selfish. It's selfish. This ain't for you. This for me.
This for me. I loved having everybody together in Vegas.
But I can't wait till we can go back. So what are the plans for Beyond the Sanctuary for Christmas? Because of the pandemic, Christmas is going to be a little different. I noticed, you see, I got my Christmas tree up already. I'm noticing that Christmas lights are up in our neighborhood a little earlier because Thanksgiving can't be what it normally is because of the pandemic. So people just kind of want to feel that joy. What are the plans for Beyond the Sanctuary to help those in need for Christmas?
Yeah. So let me just tell you a little bit more about what we're doing now that we plan to continue. So we started off with a clothes closet and a food pantry. Mm-hmm. And then shortly thereafter, we met me knocking on doors and talking to people and learning more about what was going on in the community. I met a young man who has an organization that are just a stable of social workers. And so now they are affiliated with our organization. So we have a social worker available that works with our clients as needed. in response to the pandemic, because so many of our volunteers could no longer come out. And oh, by the way, we went from the 40 volunteers to we have 68 volunteers now.
Really? That's a blessing.
Yeah, it's a small organization. And so we were looking for ways that people could continue to give or be part of the organization even though they couldn't come out, because there are other people like me who it's essential for them to give back. And so we created a team we call our client care team.
Okay.
They call our clients every other week, check in on them, make sure they're doing okay, let them know that we're open, what we're offering, and give other information throughout the community. And then and again, in response to COVID-19, we applied for a grant and got a grant to do eviction prevention. We have funds that we can help people pay their rent so that they're not evicted during this time, which, really concerned about what's going to happen the rest of this year. Because if they don't renew those fundings and that program nationally, there will be people who will be in that eviction process on December 26th. So we're praying that doesn't happen.
Better believe it.
Yeah. And then there was another grant available for new ideas. And so we came up with this program we call Drive to Success.
Okay.
And it's a program to help people get their driver's license so they will qualify for jobs like Amazon drivers or truck drivers or bus drivers, jobs that require licensing. And then we have a job readiness program where we'll work with people to qualify and get training for medical jobs and jobs in the construction field. And we plan to continue to do those things. We can do that virtually. We can work with you over the phone and on Zoom for those job programs. And for the eviction prevention, we are having people, again, work over the phone, work through Zoom. We're going to get a new fax machine for one of my volunteers so she can fax paperwork back and forth to the landlords. So we'll continue that. We did for Thanksgiving do our Thanksgiving baskets, and we're going to do that again for Christmas. Okay. And last year for Thanksgiving, we fed 200 families with a Thanksgiving basket. This year we did 500.
Ooh, that just lets you know how people have really been affected.
Yeah. It's amazing.
But we will rebound from this.
Definitely. We definitely will. And we'll be better for it.
Yes. Yes, because God is teaching us something right now. He's fixing every area for us. We just have to pay attention. And he had to slow us down because families are closer now.
Yeah.
Friends are closer now, picking up the phone more, not just texting when it's necessary, but when it's very necessary. You want to hear somebody's voice. You can't take people for granted anymore. Because I believe, and we were so busy. We took everybody for granted.
Definitely.
Including ourselves. Mm-hmm. We were running ourselves in the ground like a hamster on a hamster wheel, just going. And for what? So I'm kind of grateful for it. I'm ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Allen. This is wonderful. So look, y'all go to Beyond the Sanctuary. They have a website. They have everything you need if you want to give. If you're in do you only service in the Rochester area?
We do. We're only in the Rochester area. Yeah.
So, but
it is important.
They'll be nationwide. It's Beyond the Sanctuary. So you never know how they will grow.
Yeah.
So give.
From your mouth.
Give. Give. So much. Now look, y'all tune in because I got Christmas, I got December sold up for you. Then we're gonna have a good time. So next week we are going to do Christmas cocktails. The week after that, we will be doing caroling with friends. Oh, that's gonna be so awesome. Then the week after that, I believe I have my mother and her sisters and brothers. And then we're going to do a year review. Y'all just watch, stay tuned. Tune in to hashtag I'm Just Saying. And then probably in January, we'll take a little break. I'll probably gonna do a live show. We'll probably just post some things so I can be ready for my 4-year anniversary. It's been 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Doing this. So I love you guys. Don't you go nowhere. Remember to laugh. Remember to love. Remember to be the light and get this wine because it's really good. I'll put all your information in the comments below, and I'll put the link for this wine below. Remember to laugh, remember to love, remember to be the light, and always bear good